Hello, I'm Joel Bloom, president of the New Jersey Institute of Technology. We pride ourselves on being part of the Newark community and its advancements in technology, innovation, and the growth of the city. That's why we are proud to partner with the Caucus Educational Corporation to produce One-on-One with Steve Adubato right here at NJIT. We hope you enjoy this special series.
Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by NJIT, the New Jersey Education Association, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, the Northward Center, the law firm of Gibbons PC, and by PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities. Promotional support provided by NJ.com, small news, big news, true Jersey, and by Jaffe Communications, where business, media, and government converge in New Jersey.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, Steve Adubato here at NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, talking all about innovation. Talk about an innovator. Check this guy out. He is Dick Sweeney, co-founder of Keurig, and the vice chairman of NJIT's Albert Dorman Honors College Board. Good to see you, Dick.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, you said, when I was talking about this company,
Yep.
Keurig, I said, do people mispronounce the name? And what did you say?
I said any way they pronounce it, as long as they buy the product, is fine.
The
We're
story of Keurig coming to market, getting to market, fascinating. Talk about it.
Well, the company was founded in 1993. I joined about 6 months after it was founded as a co-founder, investor, advisor. In fact, I was going to meet the original two owners and tell them the appliance business is lousy. Fold your tents and find a real job.
I'm looking at a photo right there.
What? Yeah, no. Well, the guy on the right, Peter Dragone, is one of the original founders. Chris Stevens in the center was our first VP of sales and marketing. He came on afterwards. And that was me when I was less follically challenged.
Love it, love it. What did you see at the time?
I saw what intrigued me was the fact that they weren't going into the consumer appliance world with another coffee machine. They weren't going to be the next Mr. Coffee, at least not then. They were focused on the office coffee service market, which when we first met on a dark and stormy night at the Ground Round in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, I think it was the first time I heard the phrase office coffee service.
Office
coffee service.
Wow.
People that serve, sell the coffee machines in the offices and the coffee in the frac packs and the cups and napkins and tchotchkes and everything that goes with it. When I took a look at it, it was about a $2.7 billion industry that was devoid of any real innovation and looking for something new. At the same time, again, going back 23, 24 years ago, people were starting to queue up at Starbucks to spend twice as much for a cup of coffee that they could get at Dunkin' Donuts or someplace else for half the
join the club.
Right.
I got to get out of that thing, but that's another story.
And then we thought, well, when they go to the office, what are they drinking? They're back to the stuff that's been sitting in a pot for a half hour and getting terrible. And the conclusion was that the only way to ensure a fresh cup of coffee is to brew it as you consume it, 1 cup at a time. So
brew it as you consume
it, 1 cup at a time. Coffee stales at about 20 minutes after you brew it.
So hold on a second. But the idea of putting the coffee in here.
Right. Well, if you're going to brew it as you consume it, then you're going to need a portion pack system. And there were portion pack systems in Europe. The Nespresso predated us, Kenco, Flavia, they all predated us. But they had been European systems designing coffee for a short cup,
so you get a little
6 ounce
espresso,
max.
A single or a double.
Right.
Different. This is different.
We were looking for a minimum of an 8 ounce cup to start, and we've been able to refine the product to where we can confidently deliver 14 or 16 ounces.
The original prototype, what did it look like? Did it look like this?
Well, if you think of the architecture of the system, you have the portion pack,
Right.
You have the appliance.
Right.
And then you have packaging automation that's behind the curtain that's making, you know, at the time, tens of thousands, now billions of K-cups a year. So you have to get these three elements of the architecture in sync.
Talk about innovation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
You're constantly innovating to get it right.
Yep.
When did you know?
We're still doing that.
Still, it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop.
I love how people say we're where we want to be, and that's where we're going to stay, and you're going to lose at that point.
Right.
So that being said, the difference, the time period, if you could, Dick, between when you really thought you had something special and then getting to the market, the office market that you really needed to get to.
Right. So that was from essentially 93 until 1998.
What happens in 98?
98, we got the first Keurig appliances to a level of reasonable reliability and stability.
Those are the early ones?
Well, no, that was the very, very first prototype.
Okay.
Those are the ones we had 3 of those, and we took them around to venture capitalists trying to raise money, which was...
Did they jump on it immediately?
Back in 93, everybody was a .com something. So if we were Keurig.com, they would have thrown money at you. So we're coming in with, hey, we've got a great way to make a cup of coffee out of a salad dressing cup.
And they're saying...
they said, you're nuts. You know, how far removed from reality can you be?
They didn't see it?
No, no. Well, finally, we had a couple that did, but it wasn't love at first sight.
Wow. Help us on this. When it first gets into the offices, is it a hit immediately?
Yes, that was the great part, because people would look at it and try and understand what to do with it. I mean, one of the early educational points we had was people, you know, any self-serving American will look at a plastic cup with a foil lid and say, I've got to remove this.
Yes.
And
So
now
that's,
they're looking
they don't
at...
understand. It goes right in. You do not take it off.
Yeah, do not...
And then the machine does with the...
Right. Now it brews.
That was tough.
Yeah.
But what happens when they realize, I don't have to do anything? They loved it.
They loved it. And and to this day, people that experience it for the first time, it's a wow factor. It's, wow, this thing works. And the aroma is fresh, and it delivers a great taste. So there are a lot of reasons. The sales and marketing teams, I've always been on the operations side. The sales and marketing teams will tell you that it's their wonderment that grew the company. My personal opinion is that we've gotten the American consumer used to drinking a fresh cup of coffee every time. And once you get used to fresh anything, you can't go back.
Someone says, well, how long has that coffee been in that pot? A couple hours.
Forget it.
Forget
Start
it.
wash, right?
Go from the office market to the home market.
Right.
Talk about that.
Okay, well, that was a big transition. Started to think about it seriously in 2002. We made a couple of prototype machines, did some test marketing. One of the things we found is that if we could get the cost of the appliance down, we could sell more of them. And then how do we really reduce the cost while maintaining and improving the reliability of the appliance? So we put a big effort into that. We had an event that took place within the company where somebody had tried a hostile takeover. We had a white knight come in. We had an infusion of cash, and we were able to build out the organization.
Somebody tried to take the company over?
Yeah. Separate story.
Got it.
Yeah. In fact, I just helped facilitate a case study at the Tuck Business School at Dartmouth.
Is that right?
Discussing just this point.
Well, so go on. At home, is it it's smaller?
It's smaller, yep.
Did it hit immediately at home, in homes?
Yes, it did. It did. Well, you have to understand there was pent-up demand from office workers.
Hey, I got it in my office. Can I have it in my house?
Why can't I get this thing at home? Right. Exactly.
And by the way, talk about the economics of this. Listen, I'm not here to sell your company. We're PBS. We don't do that. And, even though I will say we have it in our caucus. Jen Eichlin, don't we have this in our caucus education? I noticed.
I have to leave if you don't. So
no. See, but I'll tell you what. I also know that it's probably cheaper.
What's that?
The idea that that's the way you're going to consume your coffee.
Yes. It's on a cup-for-cup basis.
Economies of scale.
Yeah, economies of scale, and the fact that what you brew, you're consuming. You're not making a pot and throwing half a pot away, right? So if you go through the whole life cycle analysis, it's pretty beneficial.
Before I let you out of here, describe your role here at the New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Well, I was recruited by Joel and...
Joel Bloom, Dr. Joel Bloom, president.
Right? And he
You're an alum?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a night school after coming back from the Vietnam, and then
Got it.
I got probational acceptance, and made it 8.5 years later, got my degree.
Got it. So what's the connection here now?
Well, as the vice chairman of the Dorman Honors College Board of Visitors, we helped develop the strategy, work with the Honors College administration to help them raise money, look at the strategy, recruit and maintain a high caliber of students, which has improved every year in the last 20 years since I've been affiliated with
Final
the board.
question. Great, important advice for budding innovator entrepreneur is?
Persistence. Build great teams and persistence.
Persistence.
Right.
Including dealing with rejection.
Absolutely. So,
Part of the game, isn't it?
yeah. Well, what's been fun, though, as I look back over 23 years, is that I've had the opportunity to help incubate something that's created jobs. So that's pretty cool.
Nothing better than that.
Right.
Dick Sweeney is co-founder of Keurig and also the vice chairman of NJIT, Albert Dorman Honors College Board. Thank you, Dick. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well done. Stay right
Appreciate
there.
it.
Stay right there. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
We're having a cup of coffee. Be right back right after this.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Welcome to a series we've been doing for a while now. It's an important one. It's called Help for Our Heroes. We're producing here on location at the Healthcare Foundation in New Jersey. We just had an important panel discussion with some experts, advocates, and people who are in the field of helping veterans every day. And once again, we're joined by our good friend Jack Fanous, who is executive director of GI Go Fund and co-chair of the New Jersey My VA. By the way, we'll go back to the GI Go Fund for a second. New Jersey My VA, what is it?
So the Department of Veterans Affairs, about a year and a half ago, in response to some of the scandals that they were having, decided that they wanted to have a community initiative, that they wanted almost an oversight by organizations and nonprofits as to what their functions are and how they can get resources out to the community. And they asked me to co-chair this board that is comprised of some of the people that were part of this panel discussion to discuss, what are some of the issues that veterans are facing, where's the lack in coverage, where's the lack in delivering services, and what can the VA do better.
GI Go Fund, doing great work. What is it?
So GI Go was founded 11 years ago after one of my best friends was killed in Iraq, and we focus primarily on helping veterans find jobs. I mean, we do a lot of work in housing and homelessness, mental health, and some of the issues that a lot of the stories get focused on. But my number one goal is to help veterans find long-standing employment, good careers, because ultimately I believe that you won't really care if the VA is providing good or bad services if you're getting health care from your private employer. You're not going to really think about homelessness if you have if you have a job to pay your mortgage. So ultimately, if I can help someone find a job, I alleviate the majority of the other problems, because the other problems are vast. And when trying to figure out how to fix the VA or when trying to figure out how to handle some of these other things, it's a really long discussion. And if I can just find someone a job that's making $72,000 a year, that stuff goes away from my lunch.
Well, let me ask you about that, because one of the things that we talked about in our roundtable discussion here at the Healthcare Foundation, when we're talking about mental health, connecting it to employment, I don't want to do the chicken or egg argument with you, but it seems that you're saying if someone finds gainful employment that he or she really appreciates, enjoys, and is getting paid well, that somehow the mental health issues, while still there, you can deal with them more effectively. Others were saying, wait a minute, you got to deal with those mental health issues before someone goes out into the workplace or tries to be interviewed for jobs.
Right.
Because having mental health issues for some employers is some sort of impediment. Am I missing that?
So it really depends on the particular veteran, right? I mean, not every veteran has a mental health problem that's debilitating. A lot of times it's depression, and a lot of times this depression can be alleviated, or the stresses of some of the mental health can be alleviated.
And a lot of non-veterans are walking around
it's the
dealing
same
with
thing.
depression, anxiety, et cetera.
That's what I tell everybody. It's the same story, whether you're a veteran or not. If you don't have a paycheck, there's a lot of stress involved in your life, and a lot of that stress is alleviated, whether you're a veteran or non-veteran, with a paycheck. I mean, if you can put food on the table for your family, if you can pay the mortgage, you can pay the rent, electric bill, PSE&G isn't calling you all day long because your power's about to be shut off. If you're taking care of that aspect of your life, just like every other American, the job is the most important component. So that's what I focused on because that's where I find I get wins, right? When we're talking about mental health, when we're talking about better health care at the VA, those are really long fights, right? Those are really big fights. And if you ask my opinion about what happens with the VA, I'm going to give an answer that most people at the VA don't want me to say. So my response has always been, I can get wins by helping people find jobs. That's simple to me. I can go.
How do you help them do that?
So there's a lot of different ways. I mean, number one, we advocate with employers. We talk to them about hiring veterans, the benefits of hiring veterans. That's number one, right? Getting them on board. But we do a lot of job training. A lot of employers will say, hey, listen, veterans don't have any civilian skills.
Is that true?
Resume. So on their resumes, it doesn't look like they have civilian skills, but they have civilian skills. It's just translating that military experience.
For example?
All right, so I mean, if you are in the Marine Corps and it looked like you were just a rifleman, for instance, right? There's a lot more that went into your MOS or your military occupation than just being a rifleman. But when they put it on their resumes, all they write is, I was a rifleman. But they don't talk about the organizational skills, the leadership skills, the different things they were told. The team efforts. One veteran once told me a line that changed my life. He said to me, veterans are trained to be trainable. That's what
trained to be trainable.
Yeah, the military trained me to be trainable. That was the number one issue was, bring me in, I will teach you how to do things. And I believe we heard several people say that today, that when you give a veteran the opportunity to learn something new, they learn it quicker than anybody else and they execute it pretty effectively.
Which is a big part of being a terrific employee.
Hey, I only have veterans working for me because I know that.
Talk about the vets that work for you.
So I mean, I have Joe Bogdan's an incredible worker. He's a Navy veteran. Shows up to work before I do. He puts me to shame most of the time. He's at work before I am. He leaves after I do. Makes phone calls on the weekend.
By the way, being disciplined is a great trait for an employee.
What better than working hard could you ask for from an employee? So we try to infuse civilian skills, right? We force the issue by giving them job training. We have a lot of online job training that helps veterans. It's all free. Microsoft Office, basic bookkeeping, accounting. When they complete these training courses, that ends up on their resume as a civilian skill. And now the employer has nothing to argue with, right? I think you and I were discussing before, a lot of times employers will say, my CEO has charged me with hiring a veteran.
That's right.
But which one, right? So by providing this job training and showing this skill set, now the employer has a clear picture. Which one? This is the person that I should be hiring because they're certified in Microsoft Office. They can do basic bookkeeping and accounting. They're the person I should bring in.
Finally, I've asked many people in this series, help for our heroes, this question I'm going to ask you. You told us ostensibly why you do what you do because you lost a friend.
Right.
In war. Why else do you do what you do? 11 years later.
I love getting wins. I love winning for veterans, and I love identifying what the next course is. I always tell people I like being on the side of inevitability, and I know that we will achieve greatness for veterans, whether it be employment, better health care, housing. I know we will achieve it because the community wants it, everybody wants it. And if I'm part of the solution and thinking about it, I know we're gonna get a win. And I just love seeing families put together. I love watching people close on their first home. I love meeting individuals who are putting their lives together after they served in the military, who are finally being treated like heroes the way we usually call them. We often say, hey, you're a hero, but they always say to me, well, I don't feel like I'm being treated like a hero. Now when they close on a house, get that first job, send their kids to school, lease a great car, buy a great car, whatever, I love seeing those wins, and that's why I keep doing it.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We're pleased to be joined by Dr. Sagar Parikh, who is interventional pain physician at JFK Johnson Rehabilitation. Good to see you, doctor.
Thank you. Good to be here.
By the way, what is an interventional pain physician?
Sure. Okay. So as an interventional pain physician, I have been trained to do image-guided injections, nerve blocks or joint blocks to relieve pain. That could be anything from X-ray guided or ultrasound. So there's just two different utilities that we can use to actually see inside the body and really get to a specific source or a pain generator, as we call it.
You said to me right before we got on the air, I said, we're going to talk about the opioid problem, the crisis. You said, yeah, but the bigger discussion is, quote, rethinking pain. Why'd you say that?
Well, so, I mean, and I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, the big topic right now, obviously, is the opioid crisis. And it's worthwhile to figure out how we got here, and then we can kind of think about why we need to rethink pain. You know, we've all know the statistics. 91 people a day die from opioid overdoses. Annually in the nation, roughly is 33,000 people. That's a lot. New Jersey alone, 1,600. So it's a huge crisis, and it was driven from, I feel, a real push to kind of treat pain, which is a very noble thing. But 2 decades ago, there was this sort of a campaign, Pain is the Fifth Vital Sign. You may have heard of it before. And so the campaign was to kind of treat pain, address pain, treat it. And at that point, the only utility that most people had were opioids. And that is the problem, and I'll tell you why. So a vital sign, do you know what a vital sign is?
Well, yeah, you check my blood pressure.
Right.
It's just a vital sign.
Exactly. So it's an objective measure. Blood pressure, heart rate, temperature, you can't fake it. Those are all objective measures that we can measure. But now with pain, we don't have an objective tool.
1 to 10, what do you, I don't know, 6?
Exactly.
'Cause that's not a vital sign.
It's not. It's a very subjective answer. And what I've found through my practice is that 0 to 10 pain scale is really a suffering scale, because pain is complex. Pain is, you know, there's a very, very intelligent psychologist, actually. His name was Ronald Melzack. And he came up with something called the Pain Neuro-Matrix. What that is essentially, obviously we all have brains. And think of your brain as a big circuit. And whatever inputs we receive from the world or from anything, even an injury, goes through that circuit and then outputs a certain response. So, for example, if I get into a motor vehicle accident and I hurt my neck, that input is now going into my brain and it's outputting a pain response. I feel pain. But what Melzack was proposing is that it's not just the physical thing that drives pain. It's an emotional aspect of it. Let's say someone's been in chronic pain for 3 to 4, 5 months, 6 months, years. It's that emotional aspect to that pain and what it's kept that person from doing.
But how do you treat that?
Exactly. So the first way to treat that is to recognize that pain is complex. You have the physical body injury, you have emotional aspects, you have cultural, cognitive. And once we figure that out, we realize that we need to not just be a one-trick pony. We have to really practice what I think is comprehensive pain management. I'll give you an example. So we, here at JFK Johnson Rehabilitation Institute, we have myself, who is an interventional pain physician, and I work with patients to figure out where a pain generator would be. So for example, if I have a patient—
That's the vertebrae.
This is the vertebrae. Lower back pain is a huge, huge, huge issue.
Yeah, talk to me.
So exactly.
L4, L5, where is that, by the way?
L4, L5, if this is L5 and that's L4.
I'm
so
just checking.
Right there, yeah. So if you think about it, you have the disc, the nerve, joints, you have ligaments and muscles that you don't see on this spine. So all of that together can be a pain generator. Now, on top of that, if you're dealing with someone with chronic pain, they may have some mild depression, some emotional aspect to it. Yes, the pain.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Yes.
When I had a disc that had come out, it was extruded, right? Which means the jelly came out, whatever. You know, it's out. I had the surgery. Right. What does that have to do with depression?
All right, I'll tell you why. So you were treated probably in a very well, in the sense of we found the acute injury.
Yep.
You treated it. You went through rehab.
Yes.
And you got back on your feet. You got to a functional state.
Yep. And
you're independent again. So a lot of people don't get that treatment sometimes, and they live with this pain for a very, very, very long time.
Does it mess with your head?
It does, to some degree. So what I have in my team, I have physical therapists, exercise specialists, sometimes even personal trainers. I have a pain psychologist on staff that's very good at treating those aspects of it. We have complementary medicine, acupuncture, some water therapy, and obviously I'm skilled in doing pain interventions.
But you're the coach.
I'm the coach, so exactly.
You're the point guard. You're the coach. You decide what the whole game plan is, and is part of it trying to avoid using the heavy painkillers?
Yes. I'm not against opioids completely. Opioids have a role, but I think, especially when it comes to musculoskeletal injuries, our goal should be, we'll try to get them out of pain quickly, but then there's got to be a goal to wean off the medications and get them independent and stronger. Oftentimes, when I'm talking to patients, I'm working on not just the aspects that I just talked about, I also asked them about their nutrition, their sleep patterns, their motivational. I can talk to you about motivation because I know you're a motivational speaker. But I'm trying to incorporate all those aspects because I know for someone to feel well and not to suffer, they're going to need to feel functional again.
Well, how'd you get this understanding? The time we have left, how'd you get this sense that the whole mind, body, emotional, spiritual, where did you get that?
So I mean, I've had a lot of experiences growing up with yoga, with meditation, with all these things. But really, what it came down to is when I was treating patients in my office, and I can tell you one story, one example of a woman, real quick. So she was walking. She would be able to walk 5 minutes, but then feel that she couldn't walk anymore. She was in too much pain. I was able to get her to a point where she can walk a mile, 2 miles. So I was able to functionally improve her physical state of being, yet she still reported a 9 out of 10 pain. And I thought, listen, we got you so good, why are you still 9 out of 10? That's when I realized, wow, there's all these other components to it. And that's when I would start doing a lot of reading to figure out, okay, if I'm gonna make someone feel well and feel independent and better, I'm gonna need to be the coach. They're my athlete. I gotta train them to be able to do exercise, to be able to do this, be able to do the things they love. I need to focus on that. I can't just do one thing and think that I'm doing my job.
You can't just give them a pill. You can't just say, here, take these pain pills, and
and that's it. Right.
Finish the bottle, we'll be good.
And that's why I think we need to rethink pain in that realm. We got to think of pain on all these different layers and to get someone to feel that they're not suffering anymore. And then we will get our pain scores down.
Doctor, well said. And you've helped us understand and potentially rethink pain in a way that makes a lot more sense. And also potentially deal with this opioid problem at the same time. We appreciate it. Very educational. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by TD Bank, PSE&G, RWJ Barnabas Health, Kessler Foundation, the law firm of Gibbons PC, Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department, and by Verizon. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
You may not have heard of TAVR. Raj and Sandhya have. It's the minimally invasive alternative to open heart valve replacement. RWJ Barnabas Health is New Jersey's leading TAVR provider, and we continue to perfect it. Patients are often back to their lives in just a few days. Innovative valve replacement surgery. Because you can't be replaced. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.